name's Alan and I bought a giraffe!
Angry. All I feed him is cocaine. And chicken.
I love you, Alan.
Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Sequel. This is the movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we do it in two parts. The first, an interview with an actor or someone involved that made the film worth watching. And the second, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, and how it could have been better. Really hope you enjoyed last week's interview with actress Sandra Curry, who plays Linda, Alan's mom, in Hangover Part 3. Sandra was so much fun to talk to about her beginnings and her slice 'em and dice 'em movies of the 70s when there were revenge movies that she just killed every bad man that wronged her. And then all of her guest starring roles over the years. Just so many great stories. And the fact that her sister is Cherie Curry and their family is just so great actress, great musician. And the fact that her brother-in-law is Robert Hayes. The connections are so cool. But yeah, she was great. So if you haven't checked that out, wait until this week's review of a movie that I just admitted to Jamie. I've never seen this movie. I thought I did, but I did not. And before we even talk about this anymore, I got to introduce you to my partner in this sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Doug. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Again, I'm so I can't believe I remember the pig mask part and the kidnapping, but I think I blacked out when I went to. I think I became hungover after.
Are you sure you're thinking of this movie? Because based on some of the horror movies, I could see kidnapping and pig masks, be pretty common theme in some of these horror movies you watch.
That is a common theme. But yeah, I still can't believe that I've never fully seen it. A lot of scenes, because I was watching the scenes and I have a really good movie memory, from like the trivia days. I would be like, wow, I remember that. But dude, there's so many parts I'm like, wow, that was cool. Like I've never seen it.
I did see this when it came out, and I remember not liking it as much. I do think I like it better this time around. However, it's still not a great movie. Out of the three, I mean, I think Hangover, the original Hangover, is such an original story. The way they told it, like what happened the night before, everybody's been in that situation. It's such a great movie. Second one is basically a repeat. This one to me, it's like I don't know if you ever watched Prison Break, the show.
Yeah.
Okay. So, the show is about a guy escaping prison. And by the fourth season, they're working for the government, is stealing, art or something like that. Like, it's nothing to do with Prison Break. So this movie is called The Hangover, but there's no hangover in this movie at all.
Well, except at the very end, which is amazing.
So bizarre. I don't know why Ken does this. I mean, we're gonna get there, but I mean, if you're Ken, I get it. Some guys are like that, but why put yourself out there like that? We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So, Jamie, this is pretty wild. So, this is our last review of our third year. The next movie that we do will be our fourth year podcasting. So, it's pretty special.
Hangover 3, third year.
And
was that planned?
It was, yes, it was. It was planned.
Okay.
I wrote it on a map years ago, and I have it somewhere. But before we start the review, I want to mention, it's so cool. It's so many people. Obviously, we have great guest reviewers, but two people that are really cool listeners that interact with us. Matthew Quinn, Rob Schnitzer, you guys rock. Thanks for listening, and thanks for chatting sequels with us. So, let's dive right in.
So did you like it?
I love this movie. The reason I loved it was, and we can talk about it now, was I think you said it perfectly. And I think this is not obviously the same as Back to the Future Part 3, but you get to the third movie. What is there to do? Are you going to repeat the story? You can't do that. But I kind of like what they did.
Well, I think you're in a different situation because, it's like watching like the new Ghostbusters, right? Ghostbusters came out how long ago, and then you watch the new one. It's kind of like nostalgia. You know, it's like, oh, you remember the original Ghostbusters, you haven't seen it. So like, you know, the first Hangover came out a long time ago. Since you didn't see this one, it's like, oh, it's bringing back the gang again, bringing back the wolf pack, you know, having those jokes. So it's a little different. I remembered a lot of these scenes. But I feel like this movie falls, forget the fact that, you know, yes, what are they going to do for the third movie? But this movie falls in that trap of having a good, funny character that doesn't have a lot of screen time in the first movie. You know, he's funny when he shows up, but like in bits. To have a whole movie revolve around him, it to me, that was too much. And it was like too much Chow.
No, there was definitely too much Chow. And some fun facts that I was reading about. So, not really a fun fact when it comes to the budget, but it's so crazy because these guys weren't too much before the first one came out. Like, Bradley Cooper was in a few comedies. I think Wedding Crashers might have came out like a few years before. Ed Helms was on The Office. Zach Galifianakis, I don't even know what he was on then. But first movie, the budget was $35 million. It grossed $470. This one, the budget $103, grossed $362. Again, this one has a few more guest stars in it that maybe wanted more. Because sometimes when you have to bring people back for a third movie, you have to pay them more. But the three main guys, Cooper, Helms, and Zach, they got $15 million each.
Well, okay. I mean, look how much bigger. First of all, again, to bring them back, there's no third movie without them, right? So,
of course.
you know, and you know that's the one thing. Again, you know, I haven't seen it in a long time. Their chemistry is great. You know, the three of them is awesome. You know, some of the running gags of like Doug getting kidnapped in every single movie is or whatever is very funny. The one and Alan to me is one of the best characters ever in a movie.
Oh, dude, legendary.
Oh, legendary. But, however, the one thing I did not like about his character, what they did is they kind of, like, in the first one, he was just that, like, annoying, just, like, overachieving, just, you know, like, so exciting kind of friend that, you know, like, all right, he's part of the group. You got to, you know, to, like, he became like a 5-year-old in this movie. And or, like, he came like a child, but he also became a dick. Like he wasn't like the lovable, like, you know, he was a jerk to Stu the entire time, which I don't know if
he's always been a jerk to Stu, always a jerk to his parents. Cause even in the second one, when Sandra brings him, she picks up his plate, I think. And he's like, well, we're not doing cupcakes anymore.
His interaction with Sandra when he walks in and he asks for a milkshake, Oreo milkshake, like not even ask. No, I'm sorry, not even ask. Telling his mom, yes, you know, I don't know. I just feel like they made him made him like a baby, you know, like a little bit more than he was. And you know, again, he still played the character great.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think I like it better the second time around. Still, I don't know if it's maybe the worst one of the three, but you know what, had some great scenes. So,
yeah, dude.
And John Goodman is such an awesome bad guy. Like, I really wish he could be a bad guy in more movies, you know. And I know he's been a bad guy in Raising Arizona and like, you know, some of these other movies, but like he really plays a good bad guy.
So before we get right into the movie, which we're gonna right after this, so there were two other people that were up for the role of Marshall.
Oh boy.
When your instant reaction, Sean Penn. That could have worked. He could play that kind of guy. It wouldn't have been maybe as good, but he could have done it. And Robert Downey Jr.
You know,
he's too funny. I think Sean Penn can play the mean mob boss.
Yeah, but you know what? After seeing John Goodman do it, I don't know.
Oh, I know.
Like, you know, first of all, John Goodman has the size, you know, so he's intimidating in that aspect, let alone, you know, just in that role. Sean Penn, I think would almost be too serious. Like he's too intense. And I think Robert Downey Jr. just could have been that annoying. Like, he could have been like a Chow, like, cause Chow turns it on sometimes that it becomes like a serious, like, you know, like,
yeah.
Get nuts. So John Goodman was the best of the three. I mean, without a doubt, I think
could like Stallone or Arnold done a role like this as the boss? You know what?
I think they could. But you know what though? How many times has Stallone and Arnold played a bad guy? You know, like they don't right. So that's why like it wouldn't
very rare. I can't even tell you the time that I can remember Stallone ever playing bad guy. Arnold obviously did it in the first Terminator.
Yeah, but even then, like now he was a nobody. So once he became somebody,
Yeah.
like they really haven't. So I don't know if they could. Where John Goodman, because of Raising Arizona, he played the escaped criminal. So like, he's done it before. So I don't know if they could have.
Yeah,
but you know what though, he was perfect.
He was, yeah. So the movie, I love like some of these nostalgia of movie watching. Obviously, the WB obviously still makes movies, but it's so cool seeing that WB movie. And look, we're in another prison in the eastern part of the world.
See this. Okay, so if I never saw the movie, and then maybe this is when I remember watching it the first time. The first 5 minutes, I'm already like, oh. Like, where are we going with this? So, we have a bachelor party in the first one. I think we have a bachelor party in the second one, or we have the wedding in the second one or something.
Wedding in the second one. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then you're starting off in a prison escape, and then you have a giraffe. Like it just like, it was like almost like so over the top the first 5 minutes that it was almost like, all right, this is going to be a corny movie.
Yeah, but that's what their movie has to do. You have to do something. I don't know how else you would have got the three together for another movie. Zach Galifianakis was on Marin like 8 years ago. He says like looking back, they should have only did one, but I don't think so. I think their chemistry is so good in this one, and there's so many jokes that were in the first and the second one that they finished in the third one. So if you didn't see the first and second one, not like they wouldn't be funny. But like the running joke with Stu, them not really calling him a doctor. No,
listen, the tattoo they bring, they talk about again from the second one, and yes. I mean, like, yes, I agree. I agree. I love the chemistry, so that's part of it. But I also agree with the first one is like one of the top comedies. I mean, it was so original, so it's like, and it's an idea of okay, it's a hangover, and you next day. So like, how many times can you do that? Obviously, a third time you can't do it. So it's like, yeah, no. I mean, I know this. I mean, I know when you talk to people, this movie I don't think it was a big hit. Even though it made money because everybody was curious.
Yeah,
a lot of people didn't like the movie. So
screw those people. No. I think the movie has a lot of good qualities. So like, yeah, the prison riots going on. You guess who obviously is going to be there by the first two movies. I love that he escaped through one of those famous hang in there with the cat posters, and he escapes through there.
Well, that's a rip on Shawshank, right? Isn't that?
Well, Shawshank, Escape from Alcatraz. Like a million movies, like
every movie. So okay. So if that's the case, why do prisons allow posters? Because that seems to be the theme of, the only way to escape is through a wall under a poster.
That is true. If they just ban posters, Alcatraz would still be in use.
Well, how can they show? Because you can't hide it anywhere, right? Obviously, a poster is hiding the hole. Where else are you going to do the hole unless you do it in a toilet bowl? Like if you're.
And see like Chow just try to like snake down the
Listen,
drain.
He's small enough. He might be able to slide through there.
Oh my God. And the amount of like sexual jokes with Chow,
okay, so
Phil and Alan.
But what see I have so many questions about Chow. Like I don't like is he bisexual? Is he like he's first of all he's overly sexual.
Overly, yes.
Very over, but like, is he like he's always around women, but he talks a lot about guys a lot. So I don't know, like, where does he like? What side of the like? What team does he play for?
I think he's like Prince, Michael Jackson ish. I think so, because like even later when he orders the prostitutes to that same room that they had in the first movie, the penthouse, it was girls. Guys, and then I forgot what the third part was. I have it written down, but no, even the joke in the beginning. So he's escaping. I'm thinking it's going to be all right. The Fugitive. They're going to do the Fugitive scene that's been spoofed ever since the Fugitive. And when he gets up to the next floor, he gets shot out. It kind of looks like a butt when he gets shot out of the water. I'm like, wow, we're already starting with these jokes because there's a lot of jokes between them, and you're like,
yeah, no. It's like I said, I mean, was he in the second one, Chow?
He was in the second one. Yeah, he was there. And Alan was buddies with him. And I think Alan was the one that gave him the drugs that they put in the marshmallows or whatever.
Okay. Do you mean the 4 marshmallows would have killed him? Those...
Oh my God. Nobody eats 4 marshmallows.
You know what? I never, I mean, again, I haven't seen the movies in a long time. I forgot that how much Alan hates Stu. Did they ever explain why he hates him so much, or just because he loves Bradley Cooper? He absolutely loves Bradley. I think
because he loves Phil, he picks on Stu so he could be like the buddy, because Phil picks on everybody. That was his dynamic in the mostly in the, not saying he's not like that in the second one. In the first one, he's making fun of him when they pick him up. He says, "Paging Dr. Douchebag."
Yeah.
So,
well, he's the cool one of the group. You know, I mean,
he's the coolest.
Okay, so is Alan like Prince also? Because he seems to.
I think he's like Prince too.
He does, right? Because he seems to like. I feel like he doesn't know what he is. Like he's just there. Like he's living in his own world, which seems like a fun world. I gotta be honest.
Not a care in the world. His augmented reality, which we'll get to in a little bit, the way he remembers things versus what really happened is.
You know what? He seems like Step Brothers. Like he could be in, a mix of the Step Brothers with Will Ferrell.
Hell yeah.
That's the same exact personality.
So you mentioned the craziness of the beginning of the movie. I just have a little bit of that scene when he seemingly buys a giraffe.
How about the fact that he's wearing that scarf? I mean,
and the kid gives him the thumbs up. He's so excited listening to Bop by Hanson. And the giraffe's even singing.
The giraffe. Oh my God.
Oh my God. This looks so amazing. Watching the giraffe get decapitated by the freeway bridge. It's like the giraffe knew it was coming. He looks back on the giraffe face.
Like, does he know at this point that his giraffe's head is gone?
Yeah, I don't think he realized it.
I wonder if PETA is really mad at this movie because besides the giraffe, they smother a rooster.
Oh my God, dude, that scene.
And they kill 2 dogs.
They do kill 2
So, there's a lot of animal killing. I mean, the rooster scene alone was pretty brutal. So, I wonder if PETA is I wonder if they had an issue with PETA. Because
I'm sure PETA has issues with everyone.
They do. That's what I mean.
I bet they probably were upset how life like that looked because it looks so.
Oh my goodness.
The head looks so great.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But you know what though? What's Bradley Cooper's character's name?
Phil.
When they start talking about it, and he's like, "It's an effing giraffe. Who cares?" Watching it again, there's each scene. There's again, the chemistry really is amazing. The talent scout of hiring them together because again, like you said, they picked the perfect people. I don't think anybody could have played Alan the way he does.
Todd Phillips. Sandra told me when Todd did the first one, she got casted 2 weeks after they started filming, and she read the script and she had a feeling about the movie, and she said either she talked to Todd or someone on set. The studio wanted them to get named people. She didn't know who, but yeah, it really, you got to think at that time, that was whoa, this guy who's the 6th or 7th character on The Office, and Bradley Cooper, who's never been the main guy.
Yeah, but you know what though? I feel like a lot of people could have played Stu. I mean, a lot of people could have played Bradley Cooper's part. You have the rich, playboy kind of guy. But Alan, I don't think anybody could have played it the way he played it.
I know that, but I'm saying it all worked perfect. I think
it did.
Stu was great. Ed Helms, the way he reacted and screamed, and just his.
Well, I watched on YouTube. They have a bunch of bloopers from the movie, and there are so many improv scenes by Alan. Alan made everybody laugh throughout all these bloopers, and he had so many improv moments that you don't realize that when you watch these bloopers, you're like, wow, he had so many ideas as he's doing them. It's so funny. he was the backbone, I think, of the whole series.
Yeah. Well, Todd let them all play and like do a lot of improv, which is great because some of those lines, it makes sense. Like, I'm not saying that Todd wrote a line that who cares about giraffes, like that kind of line. That could be just a riff on the seventh take. Like just like a one-off line. There's so many funny lines in this movie.
Well, I'll tell you one they had on the bloopers is when they're in the car and he makes a comment about his teeth, but Ed Helms.
Yeah.
And if you watch the bloopers, they go back and forth for a while. Like they go back, and then he says something like, "Oh, well, you know, you have maybe you should have an American wife." I guess his wife is not American. He goes, "Well, maybe you should look like you take a bath once in a while." And then he goes, "The joke's on you. I took a bath 2 weeks ago," or something like they literally went back and forth. So it was very funny. So that whole scene was improv, I think.
Oh shit, that's great. I gotta watch that after this.
Yeah.
So then we get Jeffrey Tambor. He's in this movie and he's ripping Alan, and I love that Alan again in his own little world. He goes, "But Dad, we have a ton of money." He's like, "No, I have a ton of money. You know how many people I had to just pay off? The mayor called, Alan. The mayor called," and he's just like yelling, "You know how much money it's going to cost me?" And Alan, in the mid, he puts on his headphones, and Jeffrey Tambor walks off. He goes to talk to Sandra, and he has a heart attack.
And you know, I think he made a comment like, we've been doing this for 41 years. Or something, and Alan says I'm 42 or something like that. Like he then he goes, "I can't take it anymore. Like we can't take it." Yeah, and Alan just sitting there like in his own world as usual. And then what leads to the next scene before they even, I did laugh like because you know I don't think anyone's expecting it. You know him singing. And when that happens, I was dying. I like the first time. So I knew once I started second time, but how funny was that when like did you know it? Did you think it was Alan?
No.
And then Bradley Cooper, he sings like an angel, a voice of an angel.
Yes. And so he has so many lines in that speech, and I didn't want to pull too many clips, but his line when he says, "I can't believe my daddy is dead. I can think of a lot of people I'd rather have dead. Like my mother."
That's the only line I wrote down. The way he treats his mother. Now, did he treat her like that in the first movie too? So
he was always like mean to her. They didn't interact too much in the first one. The second one, he was super mean to her, like in that one off scene. But no, he's so terrible.
But that line was hysterical. That I was dying with that.
And again, like we talked about his little world that he's in, his augmented reality, because we just saw the previous scene, right? His dad's like, "The last 40 years, I can't do this anymore." And he goes, "The last time I talked to my dad, he said, never change, Alan. Just keep doing everything that you're doing."
And then the camera goes to the mom, who starts crying even more.
And how about he's actually burying his own dad when all the guys are talking together?
Well, they said, "We think Alan's cracking," you know, and then they turn first. He's burying his own dad while the rest of the caretakers, I guess, are watching. They're sitting around and then they said, "Now look at him," and he's got no shirt on.
He has a pink Tab soda in his hand,
and he's posing as he's.
Oh my gosh!
No, he crushed this role. I mean, he really did.
And you know, the next scene, I love these two, the girls that play the wives when Phil and Stu are out to eat, because that's when they were talking about. I think Doug was like, "I'm really worried about him," and they're like, "Oh, I guess we could take him out every so often." And then the wives in the next scene are like, "Yeah, you should really take him out." And she's in Phil's wife's in a ton of stuff. She was Pam in Step Brothers.
Yep.
Second time we talked about that. And then Jamie Chung, she's in a ton of stuff. She was on the new season of Dexter, and
you know, she started off on The Challenge on MTV. She was
that was her first thing.
She was a contestant on The Challenge. She actually she might have won like on one of the teams.
Way.
Or she was one season on The Challenge. Yeah.
Oh
that's
my
how
God.
She started. Yeah.
So you mentioned the one throwback joke when they're having their conversation, because they're like, "When you're hanging out with Alan, bad things happen," and he goes, like, "Yeah, you had a tattoo on your face." And he's like, "Hey man, did you ever get tested?" And he's like, and he looks at him all weird. He's like, "You know, for that ink that was put inside of you."
That was put inside you. That was great.
I forgot about how funny that scene is.
Well, you know, I remember vaguely. That's when they were in Thailand, right? Was it somebody? Yeah. So I remember the scene vaguely. I forget who it was, but I'm assuming it was Stu. But it was cool. Like you saw a part of the outline of the tattoo on his face still. Like, he obviously
I didn't notice that.
I thought I saw it like by his eye. Like you could see like a little scar of the tattoo.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't get that real tattoo, but he really did pull out his tooth in the first movie.
Wait, he didn't get a real tattoo in his face?
No, but what I'm saying is he pulled his own tooth out in the first movie. When he pulls the tooth out, he got his tooth really removed.
What a nut job. That's ridiculous.
It worked out for him. 3 movies later, he's making $15 million a movie.
Listen, you're telling me in Hollywood they can't do fake teeth? Like, people lose teeth in movies all the time. It happens all the time. Jim Carrey, although he had a real chip tooth. So that tooth in Dumb and Dumber, that's his real. Yeah, but that's different. But in Hollywood, you could show a fake. Listen, how many boxers are spit out teeth in a movie or something like that?
Method. He wanted to meet Daniel Day-Lewis. He probably called Daniel Day-Lewis and said, Daniel, what would you do? And he said whatever accent that he has, because I don't know. Is he English?
He's probably all the good actors are English.
Yeah, they pretty much are. and then he just told him, pull out your teeth, son. And he did it.
That was your Irish accent? Oh, Irish.
I don't know what he is. I don't know what he is.
Yeah, it sounded Irish.
Okay, good. It was Irish. That's what I was going for. So then when we leave, somebody's peeping. So when we see Stu and Phil talking outside, we see a POV from a car. And that's where I was wrong, because I haven't seen this movie. So I'm thinking right away, that's Chow. That's got to be Chow watching him. But it was not.
It was not Chow. Not yet.
How awkward was the next scene at the intervention when the neighbor kid
Well, I mean, the whole crew that they have there. I mean, you have his best friend who's loaded with he looked familiar.
He did look familiar. He looked like he was the one. I guess the timing might not work out. There was a guy in Old School that he looked like. The guy that went to Will Ferrell and was like, hey, man, you should do the beer bong. And he's like, oh, no, I got a pretty big Saturday. Home Depot. I don't know if it helped. It looks like that guy, but I don't know if the ages would add up. But yeah,
well, he doesn't have one line in the movie. So
no, we don't know what he sounds like.
Yes. So, I mean, I'm assuming because he doesn't have one line, he probably is not a big actor. I mean, if he was someone known, he would have had at least one line. Because just sitting there, you're not in SAG. You got to speak. So maybe
it wouldn't be fair if the mirror from Mirror 3's in SAG and the guy that sits there not saying
but the mirror had action. Like, I mean, maybe, the mirror had blood, had showed a range where this guy just sat there. Like he really.
So you're saying if this guy bled, what about if he sneezed and a booger dripped? Does that count as?
Well, it's a sound.
It's a fluid.
Well,
fluid
listen, a mute person or a deaf person can't speak, right? Clear. They make noise when they talk.
That is true, but they're in SAG.
That's what I mean. So if you sneeze, it does. So now that's a question. If you make a noise but don't speak, like if you fart, does that make it on SAG?
I would hope so. I would hope there's a guy that's like farting man in theater, and he's in SAG.
Maybe there's a guy in Hollywood because there's the guy for everything. Maybe there's a guy that does like all the fart noises in the movies when there's farts. Like they you know what, we got to fart him. We got to hire Henry. See if he's available for the Wednesday.
Or they try to save money and not hire Henry, and they hire Lance. Lance comes in, the big scene's coming, and they're like, okay, Lance, we need you. This is the funniest part of the movie. And it's like, oh, Jesus. All right, call in the big guns. Henry comes in, and he has like a whole crew. He has like 2 escorts with him. He has like a bot. What would a farter have to bring with him? Oh, he has a guy that holds his soda.
But soda, beans, like he has like a whole like entourage of food of like Doritos and salsa, and like he goes, all right, hold on, So he'd be like, would he be like a fluffer, but a farter?
A farter, yeah, he would be a farter. Henry's not, and he's like really like everybody has to be really quiet because he doesn't want any sound to take over his fart. If you're chewing bubble gum, get out. If you're writing with a pen, get out of here.
He's the Michael Buffer of farting. Michael Buffer gets millions of dollars for 5 seconds of speaking. Henry walks on set, does his thing, walks right back off.
I think you're saying Michael Jordan of farting. Like there's other farters out there.
I would say the Michael Buffer. There's only one Michael Buffer. Only one Buffer that can do these.
Well, no, there's two Michael Buffers. There's his brother Bruce that does it for UFC because Michael's old now.
Okay, but so that means it's still one Michael Buffer. You said there's two Michael Buffers, one's Bruce. So we're still on one Michael Buffer. I just want to clarify.
That is true. The other one's kind of Michael Buffer.
He's a buffer, but not a Michael. He's a buffer. So there's two buffers, but one's Michael. All right.
So in the last few minutes, we talked about fluffers, buffers, and farters. We covered it all.
That's it.
So,
want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
So this scene is so great when he goes back and intervention's happening. I have the scene. I'm going to pull up just a few minutes of it. But the beginning part when he goes, yeah, because I think Phil says, oh, are you down at the pier? He goes, yeah, I was playing some skee ball for 45 minutes. Pretty intense workout.
Well, again, when he first walks in, though, that, I mean, like, you know, not knowing anyone's there. Mom, Oreo milkshake now. Or something like, is that what he said?
Yes, that's what it is, yeah.
It reminded me of, was it Will Ferrell in Starsky and Hutch?
Mom, the meatloaf in Wedding Crashers.
Wedding Crashers, okay. So, I mean, but him walking in, the way he said it and knowing how much he hates his mom, it was just, like, the timing was just great. And then as soon as he said it, he looked over and saw everybody there.
He goes and he gives Phil like a great high five, like awkward, kind of close. He's trying to go for a hug. He fake high fives Stu. And I love when he sits down and Doug, after this part, I'll play the clip, but the line that I don't have in the clip when he goes, we're here to tell you about an awesome place called New Horizons. And he looks around and he goes, it does sound awesome. But dude, this whole scene is just gold. So in this scene is just, I don't know. I think it's so funny. Like just what he reacts to, the way he reacts to Phil. And I think we talked about it earlier when he's like, Phil, are you going?
Yes. Well, you know, I feel like Phil did a whole 360 from the first movie to this movie. You know, the first movie, he really couldn't stand Alan. Like, he was just annoyed by Alan the whole time. And I feel like in this one, he was definitely had more compassion for Alan.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I feel like, you know, like he became more caring about Alan compared to the first one. You know, so, you know, he became like a nice guy, I feel like. He's not as wise. He's not like such a wise guy.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll have to add in when he's crying, just when he says, I love you, Alan.
Oh, the cry, I was dying. The sound of his cry. Was unbelievable. And you know, to go back to the bloopers, when that happens, what's his name, Ed Helms couldn't hold it together, and like and Bradley Cooper sitting there straight faced, you know, he's not laughing, and you could hear Zach Galifianakis keep going, listen, start being mature about this, where you just got to pay attention. Like he's breaking character, saying, come on, you know, it was just very funny because Stu could not hold it together, because that cry is very funny.
It's so funny. Before that, I forgot to mention was when Sandra starts talking, Alan, here are some things I want to tell you. He's like, oh man, I'm bored. And how about his housekeeper that he had for like his whole life? She's like, Alan, you know, and she's like telling him about things, and he goes, oh, I think somebody needs to clean this up, and he knocks over the drink on the table.
Well, she goes, I saw some things that no one should ever see in your room. You know, so that was part of it. And yeah, then he just purposely knocks over that glass. That's what I mean. Like he was kind of jerky in this movie. I mean, he was still funny, but like he just became a little bit more mean. You know,
he was mean. Maybe it showed that he had to get to this point that maybe he would change, because when they're going on I love when to get him to go, they said, we're going to take you. So they're doing the wolf packs back together. They're driving down the road. And this is where I remember, I guess, most of up until the spot part. But I love when he's like, okay, I don't want to go now. Can we stop the car? And then at that point, a rental truck rams them.
Maybe he's bipolar. And the medication, but the medication that he was taking was controlling him. And he's like nice and calm and everything else. And because he's off his meds, that's why he's so mean.
Maybe that probably could be it. Because he said he hasn't been taking it for 4 months or
that's
something.
What I mean.
Yeah.
So that's, okay. Yeah. No, doesn't he go, don't they stop first somewhere to get lollipops? Or no, was that a different scene? Or was that after the kidnapping?
Oh, I don't know. Do they stop at a gas station or something?
Remember, because he said something to Stu, and and then he got he got annoyed at Stu or something like that or something, because he was sucking on a lollipop at the time.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Maybe it was at a gas station or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but then they get like rammed, and then Stu is thinking like, because it's Phil's minivan, and they're like, oh, maybe we'll just exchange information, and it's probably just an accident. You guys ramming off the road, takes him out. I'm thinking the car's gonna do like a flip. The car stopped, and these guys jump out with these pig masks on, like cartoonish looking.
Cartoonish, but creepy. Like
Very
it was definitely
creepy.
it was dark. You know, like there's definitely parts of this movie that's a little dark than the other movies. You know, so listen, there's death in this movie. You know, there's a few deaths. So yeah, but no, yeah, that was I totally forgot about, like, again, this, and I thought it was Chow. I thought it was Chow doing all this. I forgot.
That's what I thought. I thought Chow was peeping.
Yeah,
I really thought he was the one that was watching them. I love when Alan runs and they have like that POV steady cam on him. So you see him run and you see from so far away, and the guy like tackles him to the ground. They were all zip tied. I love that they're able to, it's like a fat joke against Alan, but everyone is able to get tossed in. And again, they're on a highway and they're pretty much taking forever to put him up, because they use the electric bed to bring him up, and all cars are driving like on the highway, which was like within definitely like eye shot away. But I love that they did that just to, like, as a fat joke that they couldn't.
Well, there's nonstop fat jokes throughout the whole, the whole series.
Yeah,
because I mean, what doesn't Chow call him fatty or something like that? Or
yeah. So then the next scene, they take the because they are blind. There's bags on their heads, right?
They're bags on their heads, and then they're taking them off, and that's where they see John Goodman.
Well, first they see Black Doug.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, Black Doug. Which that was a good throwback, also.
Mike Epps again. That's a great.
Yeah, and he was pretty funny. I mean, because they kept calling him Black Doug, and he was getting annoyed at that.
He was gonna kill them.
Yeah, and then he goes, "All right, Doug, just Doug."
And then John Goodman's like the gang leader. And then how about this whole thing that I love how they wrote that into it, that when he bought the drugs that night, Chow and like everything happened just from that interaction. I still can't believe that Zach used that word.
I was going to say, I can't believe he used it, but coming from him, the way he used it and the way he walked up, I was laughing. It was so funny.
Oh, I know.
It was so innocent. Like, it was so innocent for him, and that's why it was so funny, because Doug's face when he looked at him for using that word, like, what? And it's the way he said it. Like, it was such a hey, me and you were pals. Like, I actually laughed. It was very funny.
And then, so
I don't. By the way, I don't condone it. I just want to say, but in the context of what the movie was, it was funny.
Yes. Yes. So then it turns out that Chow stole a bunch of, I guess, on that night, right?
On that night,
when he took a bunch of money from him.
Gold bars.
Yeah, because it was 42 million in gold. He stole half of it, so he had 21 million. And again, goes back to this whole theme of this sexual chemistry between Alan and Chow. Was when John Goodman says, "This Chow has fucked me in the ass," and Alan says he does that from time to time. So it's happened.
And he obviously knows about it. Well, listen, they've been writing letters to each other. I mean, and he was in prison. Isn't that what they do in prison?
That is what he does in prison. And so this is how they found out. I wrote this down. So John Goodman found out that there was like a Saudi prince coming to Vegas. He robbed the Saudi prince when he landed. And then Chow posed as a state trooper and robbed his two guys of half of it.
As much as a small little, like, just nut job that Chow is, he's a badass. I mean, when it comes to gun, like, he really is. Like, he's so small. You think, like, oh, why can't these guys, like, they're all afraid of him. Because he's such a loose cannon. Like, he definitely is a loose cannon. But what does John Goodman do? Like, I mean, we he obviously is going for this goal, but like in general, is he a drug lord? Is he like, what is it like? They don't like really.
I don't know if
is he like a mafia guy? Like a
yeah, I think it's mafia or gang, because it seems like he got some intel to rob this Saudi prince, and he robbed him for $42 million. Like it was something he's done before, so it seems like it was pretty simple for him.
Were you surprised to see John Goodman?
Well, I knew he was in it from looking at like the IMDb,
but did you know he was the bad guy?
I think I guessed from it because I watched some scenes before I interviewed Sandra, but no, he was so great. And then awesome. I love his explanation. Like, I went to go talk to Chow in the prison when he got arrested and he wouldn't talk to me, but he only talks to one person, Alan. And tell me you didn't laugh out loud. The first line of the email was, "Oh my God, the remake rib is back."
Well, doesn't he say something like, or he goes, "I haven't been in touch with him for a while. I don't know what he's." Yeah. And Bradley Cooper goes, "The emails are right there. What are you talking about?" Like something like.
Oh no, that was. Oh no, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but I love that right after that when John Goodman says that, he goes, "This is unbelievable that you're talking." I think he says, "It's unbelievable," and then he goes, "Yeah, I know, right? Isn't it unbelievable? Why don't they just have the McRib all the time?"
Well, he was just saying there was so much nonsense going on, except for the last. What did the last one say? Because he's.
Oh no, that's what he said. That was the line. He goes, "All it is this is just a bunch of nonsense." And he goes, yes. "I know, right? They should have the McRib all the time." Yeah, that's the line. I was laughing so hard when he reads the first line of the email, and that's it. And then there's other ones too. Yeah, I think he even says, "Hey, Alan, you fatty," or something.
Yeah. No, it's awesome.
But I did love the first movie all over again. Doug, Justin Bartha, I don't know what he made on these movies, but he's kidnapped the whole movie. It reminds me of an Anaconda when, I can't think of his name, the guy that's in, who was the original Marty McFly, who's in some kind of wonderful.
What's his name? The weird guy.
Eric Stoltz.
Oh, that guy. Okay.
I think in Anaconda, Eric Stoltz gets like, something happened. He gets sick in the beginning of the movie and he's like sleeping the whole movie. That's like this Justin Bartha guy. In this one, he's in more of it, but in the first one, he's not in it. He's in the beginning and the end.
That made me laugh also, to have that running gag that all three movies, even the second one, he's nowhere.
Second one, he just went to bed.
Right. And that's it. Like, but it's the fact that like, you know, I guess you weren't expecting it. You're like, all right, this is the third movie. You're going to give him a look. No, they're going to do the same thing. We're going to take Doug.
Oh man!
No, so
then awesome. We get the plan. Marshall says, we're gonna kill your friend Doug if you don't bring us Chow. So then their whole plan is like, we have to get Chow.
Where are we gonna find him? Well, then they go, where are we gonna find him?
Yeah.
And then that was the email? Wasn't there an email, or he got a text or something like that? He goes,
that's when they were sitting in the car and he stared at his email and he goes, "Oh wow, Chow emailed me 20 minutes ago," because they're like, "We're still waiting on Chow." And he goes, "Oh, he emailed me 20 minutes ago."
And he goes, he said something like, I wasn't sure if it was important or not, or something like
So then Phil and because Alan hates Stu so much, when he's like trying to explain the plan and he's like, "That's great, Phil." And then he yells at Stu and then they have to go to this pharmacy in order to get like this high. I don't know if there's any other drugs they could have got, or if I don't know where else they could have got to, but it was so. I thought there was going to be more to that scene when the pharmacist kid It's like, yeah, it's really weird. It's even weird. It's more of a red flag that you're the guy that wrote the prescription.
So he's a dentist who could prescribe a medication. Why didn't he just call it in and say, "Hey, I'm calling it in for my patient, whoever, Alan, and let Alan go in there and get it." Instead, he walks in all sweaty, all nervous, all like that made no sense at all, because how many times do doctors call in your subscription? You go CVS, you pick it up. You got something under your name. You don't have to show them anything.
You just gave CVS a free plug.
Okay. Well, we have a lot of fans. We have a lot of fans at CVS.
The receipts are so long that people listen to our podcast, a whole episode.
You know what? I take it back. Don't go to CVS because their receipts are so annoying. Go to Walgreens.
Go to Walgreens. You can get a digital receipt. No, but that scene when he goes, "Yeah, this is a total red flag. I gotta talk to my dad. Dad, this guy," and then we cut to them in the car, and he comes into the car. I'm like, "Wait, what just happened?" And he explains, "Oh, I almost lost my my dentist license and all this." I'm like,
but nothing.
There has to be more to it.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing came out of that. And do a lot of like kids work with their dads at a pharmacy? Like, is that
we're like connecting all these movies. That's like Step Brothers when he goes, "Dad, I'm going to join the family business. I'm a medical doctor."
You know what? We've connected Step Brothers at least 3 times right now.
Step Brothers, and then the other. Oh yeah, no, that was it.
No, Step Brothers. Yep. So maybe there is a universe like the multiverse. This is like the multiverse of Step Brothers, because Alan could easily be like their best friend. Yeah, or the other brother. There you go. Wow.
Whoa. So then they have to go to Tijuana, and Alan has to go alone. So they wait in the car, and Alan's sitting at the bus stop on the bench. Chow comes over, and Chow asks him for.
No, I think Chow was sitting there, like the way he just kind of appeared there. Like, did he walk over?
Well, Alan was there first. No, he just appeared when the bus went past.
Okay, yeah. So you don't see him come in there.
No, because they're like, "Holy shit, he's there!"
Yeah,
when they're like doing like a stakeout watching it. Then he goes, "Give me a kiss, fat boy."
His and it's funny. His accent comes and goes. Like the accent he uses in this movie comes and goes throughout the whole movie.
Yeah,
there are times when it's really strong, and then there's times when he talks normal.
Yes, and weird. There's times that Stu does the accent a few times to him.
Oh, there was one that really stood out. There was one I remember. I mean, I'm sure there's more. Yeah.
But I love that Alan is talking to him and he goes, "I have no friends." And he goes, "No, I'm sure you have friends. I'm your friend. Stu and Phil are your friends." And he's like, "Stu and Phil? Why'd you mention Stu and Phil? Where are they?" And then he looks over. He gives him up, and without even him pressing him, "Are you alone?" He asked him one time, "Are you by yourself?" He said, "Yeah." "Were you followed?" "No." And then he gives it up like nothing.
Well, do you expect anything less? I mean, I mean, again, you're putting you're bringing this guy who's had basically like a mental breakdown of sorts to a place to help him, and you're relying on him to bring in Chow.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's a lot of pressure on him.
And then Phil right away is like, "I miss you, Chow." And then this is one of the Stu ones. He really says, like, he does an R where there shouldn't be an R.
Yes, he does. Yeah, he does it a few times.
We got to a bar in Tijuana, and Chow is singing. What song would you think Chow's singing? "I Hurt Myself."
But you know what, though? It was very fitting. Like, it was, I think it was the perfect song. And then I think Bradley Cooper's like, "What the hell are we doing here?" Like, yeah, it was pretty funny. And then they ask him what he's been doing or something like that. And he says cockfighting. Yeah. And then I think Alan goes, "Sounds terrific." Now, do you think Alan knew what he was talking about? Or do you think he was thinking of something else?
I'm guessing he was thinking something else. Okay. Given things that he says in this movie, and it just seems like it.
But then again, he falls in love with a woman. Or
It was the perfect opposite.
She was a manly woman.
They're the same person.
Yeah, they were literally the same person.
They bonded over trash talking their mothers.
You know what? Only Melissa McCarthy, and I know we're not there yet, but could hold her own with these guys. Like she played the role so funny, like so good. Yeah. I mean, she's awesome. I love her.
Yeah. So while he's singing, Stu puts the drugs in his drink. And I love when they're ready to do a shot. It's like, hey, let's do a cheers. And Chow snips the drink. And then within seconds, he has a knife to Stu's throat.
Well, Stu's an idiot. I mean, he made it so obvious there's something in there, like the way he was doing it. And I mean, like, I just feel like Stu's always nervous. It's from the first movie on. He's always so like, to me, they give too much. I think Bradley Cooper gives way too much to Stu to do, because he just really can't. I mean, if anyone needed to get information out of anyone, just go to Stu and he'll do it. Alan does it by accident, but Stu would do it on purpose.
Yeah. So you just want Phil to do everything. Phil should just be like a one-man band.
Doesn't he take control at the end of the movie?
He kind of does, yeah.
so
he does. So then we get the whole plot of the movie when they explain Marshall and he sent us here to get you. And then we get Chow talking about, okay, I know where the $21 million is. When I got arrested and put in prison, they seized my 3 mansions. So here's the villa that we have to go to in Mexico. And dude, that whole scene
with the little, with the miniature.
Oh yeah. The whole, I have that whole clip.
Okay.
We're not breaking into this house. This house is too small. We're breaking into another house. This is just a model, right, Chow?
Dude, the whole chickens, when he sits on the chicken coop, and the chickens are just attacking everyone. I love that it just goes 0 to 60 because Chow pulls a gun out and he's shooting them off of their bodies. He's crazy.
But look at his aim, though. He's good.
Oh, yeah. The last one.
There's so much chaos going on. Oh my goodness.
He's whispering to it while he kills it.
Struggle.
The looks on their face right now.
The way it's fighting.
He's putting his arm on his neck. Like he moved his arm.
Not this
time.
I can't see why Peter would have a problem with that.
What the fuck is wrong with those chickens?
They're angry. All I feed them is cocaine. And chicken.
He's such a lunatic. He really is such a loose cannon. It's unbelievable.
He's a great character, really. Like I know over the top in this one, a lot of him, but he owns it. And no, he owns it. I should have mentioned this before. Is he doesn't mind being naked ever since the first movie. I think he volunteers.
No, he has to. Well, listen. At that point, does it matter? Like after the first movie, that was one of the funniest things anyone's ever seen, right? It was such a surprise, no one expecting it. And then the second one, I mean, what happened? You remember the second one?
Yeah,
when he thought it was a worm. Okay, so I think at that point, the joke is out. Clearly, he does not care about how he's perceived. So, what's the difference? It's already out. It's not like, he's anything, and it's not a surprise anymore. I mean, what he does at the end of this movie is ridiculous. I mean, like, he clearly does not care. I mean, I wonder though, what would be great if that was ad-libbed. Like if he wasn't supposed to do that and he just walked out and they felt, because Melissa McCarthy starts cracking up.
Wouldn't that be very wouldn't that be like a no-no to just walk out naked on set?
Well,
is that considered improv?
Well, I mean,
yelling a line and saying like, "Hey, for this scene, I'm going to say I dated a girl with blue hair," instead of Walking out with your dick hanging out?
In the context, well, when did this movie come out?
2013. What does that mean?
It was before the whole Me Too and all that stuff. So, like, I think it was.
It doesn't matter. I'm saying that.
No. I'm not saying
anyway.
it's right. I'm just saying. So, like, these things probably went on back then, and in some cases it was okay. It was okay. So, like Melissa McCarthy was laughing. Like, maybe. Yeah. I think it's like anything else. I think it depends on your company. It's like playing what's that game? The Cards Against Humanity. You don't want to play with the crowd that's going to get offended by every card.
Yes.
So I could see it being an improv. You know what? Do you ever see the movie Lucky Number 11?
I've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember reading a thing where there's a scene where I forget the main character. He's was it Channing Tatum or one of those guys? There's a scene where Lucy Liu knocks on a door and opens the door, and he's like his towel falls. Well, he's supposed to have shorts. In the movie, he actually didn't have anything on, so her reaction to that scene is a real reaction.
That's amazing.
So that's what I mean. So like those things happen, I think, and I think back then it was more like now. I don't think they could definitely not do it now.
No, and it's funny because the next movie we're covering, Ghoulies Go to College, I interviewed Ron Schmidt, who was a cinematographer. He told me a behind-the-scenes stories from The Mist that only the parents knew that the kid was going to get a gun pulled on him.
Oh, wow.
So the kid had no idea, so his reaction was real when Thomas Jane puts the gun up to his head.
First of all, the end of the movie is one of the worst endings. I mean, good in a good way, but like horrible ending.
Yeah.
Oh
man. So then we get to Chow's house, and they drug the dogs.
Wait, how does Chow know? Did they just figure out how he knew so much? Did they find out later on how he knew so much about his house?
Well, they should have known that it's his house. He should know everything about his house.
Well, is it his house?
No, it's not his house, but
But I'm saying so. Like, but he knows so much about the ins and outs of everything with this house. He knew exactly where the gold was. He knew, the alarm system. He knows the dogs. Did they ever explain why he knows so much about that?
I think he's a secret agent. He knows he can do a lot. He can parachute.
Okay, anyone could parachute if they had to.
Really?
Yeah, you throw the umbrella up in the air and you jump.
You have to steer it. If I would have done that in Vegas, man, I would have went right to a building.
You're talking about steering. I'm just talking about anyone can use a parachute.
Oh,
steering is a different story. I mean, listen, anyone could drive. Not everybody could drive well.
Michael Myers can drive extremely well.
He can. But so did they explain why he knows so much? I don't remember.
No, they don't explain it. No, I even like Marshall.
That's what I mean.
I'm surprised he didn't mention anything in that next scene.
Like, did he ever? Maybe he worked for Marshall at some point, or that would have been.
No, they said that night they brought them together. So that whole night, that interaction brought the two worlds, like Chow into Marshall's world.
That's what I mean. So there's no reason why he would know where the gold is. There's absolutely no reason. And if he does, then shame on Marshall for allowing that to get out somehow.
Yeah, when he how would that get out? How would he know that? So then I love that when they pretend to be the dogs, and I love that Alan wants to do it, and he looks at Phil and he goes, "Do you want to tell him that he's too fat?"
No, he doesn't. He doesn't say too fat. He just says, "Do you want to tell him?" So he doesn't even say too fat. And then I think Stu said something. Stu might have said something about his weight, but the first thing was, you want to tell him? But again,
I love that he's sniffing his ass.
Oh well, yeah.
He's really pretending to be a dog.
Well, that's. I'm sure it's not the first time he's done that. So
him and Alan probably wear dog collars.
They didn't have to put the dog collars on their neck. They could have carried it in their hand. So, this is this is right up Chow's, it's like a role play. He did a role play with Stu. And once again, Stu's the one. I mean, listen, Bradley Cooper is the same size as Stu. He couldn't go in.
Yeah.
Why are they setting the most nervous guy again in there? I feel like Bradley Cooper almost sets Stu up every single time.
Yeah.
Because he could have done it. Just saying.
Yeah.
But yes,
I love that the wire scene had me dying. The fact that he is like, which one? So they have to cut him at the same exact time. And when he's looking at the wires and he's like, which one do I cut? And was it at first he said the middle one?
Well, no, he said the gray one, right? Something like that. Didn't he say gray?
Well, I think no. First, it was the middle one. He goes,
okay.
Well, how do I know our middles are the same? Which color? And he goes, the gray one. And he's looking at his wires, which are like red, yellow, and green or something. And he's like, what do you mean? He goes, what colors do you have? He goes, gray, light gray, and dark gray. And he goes, fuck, I'm colorblind.
He goes, I forgot that I'm colorblind. He forgot that he was colorblind. Which, you know what, makes a lot of sense because some of the outfits he wears are horrendous. So,
true.
You know, and you see this a lot in movies that wires have to be cut the same time, but clearly they're not cut the same time. Like there's always one person cutting before the other person. Like, so is the same time meaning like you have like 3 seconds before like, damage is done? Or
I would think MacGyver, like there's got to be a grace period, a few seconds in between. It's not like the wires right away of something. I don't know. There has to be some kind of, it's got to take time for that wire that gets snipped to get to the other one or something.
And there's always someone that goes a little faster, on a 1, 2, 3 count. Someone always goes a little faster.
Yeah, because what if the other guy's like, okay, I thought we were going on go, and then.
Well, I think everybody's 1, 2, 3 is at a different speed. Some people say 1, 2, 3 fast. Some say very slow. So, okay,
that is true.
Just want to know if that was really that. If there's a grace period.
If there's any electrical bomb experts that know if wires have to be cut at the same time, at Sequels Only on Twitter.
Do you think it's a real thing though? Do you think it's a real thing that wires have to be cut the same time? I
don't know why if you
for what purpose would that be? Right.
Yeah. So what would that do if I cut both of them? It doesn't go to the cops. If I cut one, it goes to the cops. Wouldn't the cops be like, oh shit, both are offline now?
Yeah.
Or something?
Okay. All right. Just curious.
I love that when Stu goes, I'm going to come over and help you. He goes, all right, just do the one in your left hand. He goes, oh shit, I'm dyslexic.
See, I think Chow is just playing with him. I think Chow, I think he knew how nervous Stu gets, and listen, he's sadistic. Chow is completely sadistic, and he says it like at the end, like, wasn't it fun killing people or hurting people? Like to Alan. Alan's like, no. So like, I feel like he's totally playing with Stu and like just wants to see him squirm.
Oh yeah, and then when they finally get into the house, it works. They go in the basement. Chow gets like. It looks like a guy trying to hit like at the carnival, like the big game with the sledgehammer. He's like almost like
it's bigger than him. It was like bigger than him. And yes, you're thinking like, okay, he's been a pretty badass in this movie so far. So you think he's gonna, and what happens when he swings at it? I was laughing. It was very funny.
It like almost bounces back and hits him, and then Phil volunteers when he like. To show him up a little bit. And then I love that Chow, again, going with the theme of these guys. He says, take your shirt off. It makes it easier. And Alan agrees. He nods his head.
But see, okay. So I just think with Alan, I just think he's so naive that he really thinks, yeah, it does make it easier. Like, I don't think he's not looking at Bradley Cooper in the sexual way like Chow is. I just think he's like, he's like a 5-year-old. So like, when you tell a 5-year-old something, they take it for face value. And I think Alan takes everything at face value, So
I believe that in one sense. And then the other sense, when he says the line that when he says he's fucking me in the ass and he goes, he does that from time to time. That's a little on the nose.
Yeah, but that's not saying that he was part of that. He's just saying,
he was just saying, he knows.
I know he does that. Yo, listen, they write letters to each other. You don't think Chow said, listen, I met this cute guy in the cell block 4, we had a intimate moment later, I mean, so I think that I think Alan is naive, and he's a child. So he takes everything. I don't listen. He falls so in love with Melissa McCarthy so fast that I don't think I just think he's naive. Let's put it that way. Chow's just Sexaholic. He's
a
ridiculous.
sexaholic, and he's such. I was not that I wasn't expecting it, but the fact that when he was up in the doorway and they're passing up the gold like on the chain, like each person, when he was up in the doorway, I'm like, man, something bad's gonna happen. And the fact that he locks them in the base.
Okay, but before you get there, so I have a problem with this because they're clearly they're moving one brick at a time, one gold brick at a time, and then I guess because it was heavy, right? Or however, yet Chow walks out with 2 bags filled with gold, and he's able to lift the entire bag to put it in the trunk. So why were they doing? You know, you're breaking into a house, so you want to get in and out as fast as possible. Wouldn't one at a time for 4 people take forever?
That's true.
It's like, so what was the point? And like, you would like, why would they go along with that? Like, that made absolutely no sense.
That's a definite plot hole.
A big one, because he walks out with those 2 bags, and Chow's a small guy, and he lifts it up. There's no way. First of all, there's no way he's lifting a bag up into the trunk.
Yeah, they're like heaving those.
I was going to say,
it's
they're
not like
heaving it.
Easily toss them. They're like, it looks like they're so heavy, which there's not a lot of them. I don't know how much they weigh, but because remember Melissa McCarthy says that they're worth $440,000, but he only took what I had in cash, $18K, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, but listen, they had 2 bags filled, and yeah, you're right. Every time they were lofting it, and when they were catching it, it was like their hands were going down to the ground.
They were like,
yeah. But Chow's able to lift both bags the same exact time and put it in the trunk.
Yeah.
Okay. But he is Chow.
So when they get arrested, how funny was the scene when they're like, when the cops are going through the first 2, Stu and Phil, no misdemeanors, no felonies, only 1 arrest in Vegas. And when they go to Allen, and it's like a friggin' term
binder.
Like
it's a binder.
It's a binder. Exactly, a binder. When they go, is this all you? And I love that he goes first page.
and he's like reminiscing. He goes, "Oh yeah, that was a good one." That was like, whatever he said.
He does that for a few of them, and then he stops and he goes, "Yup, I masturbated on a bus."
And he's like proud of all of them. Like he was like he really like it was like he was going through like an old photograph, like, album of like, his childhood, and like, you do that once in a while. You look at your old sports teams and your graduations. No, he's going through his criminal records, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I remember. That's a good one. Oh yeah, I did this."
It's like he's thinking, I would love to montage, and it's to Green Day's
the Times of Their Lives.
And it's him on a bus. All the other things. Well, one was something in your
you'd want to see him on the bus do that?
It would be funny if he had a jacket over it. It's like, yeah.
All right. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, he talks about a few crimes. I mean, that's
the other one's outside of the other one's like outside of a school or something. Because as we know, that's a good callback to the first one. Because remember when they went to go pick up Phil, he said, how long will we be here? I'm not allowed within 50 yards of any school.
So this seems to be a recurring a theme for Alan's crimes. So, okay. All right.
So at this point, I'm sure you remember the movie, but I had no clue who picked them up when they go, all the charges are dropped. And I'm thinking there's another person in this movie that I didn't see on the IMDb. There's another, maybe somebody bigger than Marshall. But then you see the car taking them back to the house that they were just at.
So, okay. So at this point, you didn't think it was Marshall's house. You're like, all right. Who?
No. Well, once they went back there, then I was thinking like, oh, this is kind of weird.
It's funny. For some reason, and I guess maybe he had a bigger role in the second movie, but I was thinking it was Mike Tyson's house. Like, and I forgot. He's not. I thought he was in this movie, so he had a big part in the second movie, right? That's why Stu got the tattoo.
No, the first one.
Oh, it was the first one.
No, the second one. He just got it when they saw it as like an homage to the first one.
Oh, so he wasn't in the second one at all.
No, he was just in the first one.
Okay. So for some reason, I don't know why, I thought it was Mike Tyson's house. So I'm like waiting for Mike Tyson to come out, and okay.
That'd be good to have if they were able to have him in it. That'd been awesome.
That's a throwback right there. That would have been great. And you know what? He could have played the Marshall role.
Did you imagine that? Isn't that great when you think about the first movie? Obviously, what really ends up happening, Doug is just on the roof drunk. But the fact that in the movie, Mike Tyson is really the biggest hurdle that they have in the movie, because they have to get the tiger that they stole back to his house. And they think that, he has Doug. That's what the whole thing was, which is pretty funny that really everything in that movie happened for really no reason, because he was just on the roof.
Well, not for nothing, but all these problems are because of Doug. Like, if there's no Doug, there's no bachelor party, there's no Vegas. He doesn't get, he doesn't pay.
And there's no
they
Alan.
Can't find him. No, Alan could be around.
Well, they wouldn't know Alan. Alan's a byproduct of Doug. That's Doug's brother-in-law.
Okay, but even so, though, Doug's the reason why because of his bachelor party, his wedding, and because they confused the other Doug. Chow confused Doug with Doug, Black Doug. So if there was no Doug, there was be no confusion with Doug. So in the second or third one, there would be no issues. It's all because of Doug. So Doug's the biggest villain in this whole movie.
That's good. Doug's need more representation in movies. So
there's too many
I appreciate
Dougs.
that.
No,
too many Dougs. We didn't mention it yet, but the Doug's wife in all these movies is the girl in Hellraiser Inferno.
Yep.
Which is still crazy that that's her. But so this scene was intense. The fact that, the fact that Marshall's pissed off because now Chow has all 42 million. He turns and he's like, I'm gonna shoot somebody. And he's like pointing the gun at them three. And then he turns and shoots Black Doug.
Did you expect that?
No. And then he goes, you're my head of security. It's really, how did that happen?
Yeah. And that's the whole point. Like, so like, how did Chow know? So maybe Doug was in on it, because Chow knew a lot of information about that house and security. So maybe he knew that Doug somehow this happened, but
he
also goes,
that would have made sense.
That would have made
more
sense.
Mentioned that.
Right. And he goes, I'm in the mood of killing Dougs today. So if you don't get the money, I still got the other Doug.
He goes, what? Chow, he took the money and he goes, what else could he have done? And he goes, he killed the two dogs. He goes, what? We didn't kill those dogs. We just drugged them. They should wake up in a few hours. He goes, no, he must have went on his way out, snap bolt their necks. Like, wow.
Chow, the fact that they're really revolving this whole movie around Chow is amazing. Like, it really is. Like, the whole, it's just ridiculous. It's just, it's crazy. Chow.
It's insane for Ken Jeong. Like, he was, I don't know what he was in. I know he's in Community, but I don't know what he was in.
Oh, you don't know his story? Do you know his story?
No, I know he's a real doctor, right?
Yeah,
no, I know the whole story of them.
Oh, yeah. That's amazing in itself.
No, I know that, but I'm saying the fact that I think Community was on the same time as the first Hangover, but from there, boom.
So he was in Community? Like, he was a regular?
He was. I thought he was a regular. He was one of the teachers at the community college.
What? I never saw Community.
He's the meme. When you look at the meme,
yeah, no. Okay, that's
paper,
Community.
That's
yeah, okay. That's one of the best memes ever, by the way.
It's pretty good. Yeah. So I love that Alan pissed his pants, and Marshall, as a nice gang leader, he goes, "Can you get this gentleman a pair of my sweatpants?" And then he's like calling out what size exactly.
And that was improv, because during the bloopers, he has about 4 different lines. Like, you see John Goodman say it a few times, and Alan turning around saying, "Yeah, I'm a big and tall. I can't wear satin. It makes my undercarriage itch," or something like he does like so many different things. It's very funny.
I'll have to watch that.
He goes, "Sweats. I'm a 44 slim."
44 slim, yeah. So now they have to find Chow, and so they have to figure out how. Obviously, Chow took Phil's van, which had Phil's cell phone in it, and Alan suggests using Find My Friend.
This is so funny. Like, the password is. Do you remember the password?
Oh, what was it?
Hey Phil. He goes, "Hey Phil, the password." He goes, "What's the password?" "No, that's the password. Hey Phil."
Oh, that's amazing. So now it all comes full circle. They're back in Vegas. They have to go into Vegas. And there are some Easter eggs. One that I don't know exactly what it is. They did flash the billboard of Brian Callen's wedding chapel. It was only for like a second. They didn't really show the front of it. they just showed like a billboard come up on a digital billboard, and it was his thing. I think it's when they found the van outside of because that's the scene we're at now when they go to the pawn shop, and we meet Melissa McCarthy for the first time.
She crushes it. She totally, and you know it's funny. She treats them the way Alan treats Stu.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that again, like you said, she's a female version of him.
She is, yes. And Alan's hitting on her about Billy Joel, and he talks about, yeah, I went to that concert. Oh, I heard that was legendary. Yeah, it was pretty legendary.
Well, just the fact, like, when he first sees her, he just, like, you could see it, like, Lady in her Tramp eyes. Like, he just, like, they both together were just so, and she just crushes it. And it was so funny.
Her trashing her mom and saying,
Cassie, I'm hungry. I thought you ordered Chinese.
Mom, I'm with a customer. You'll eat when I say it's time to eat.
But the doctor...
If you don't reverse that right now, there's going to be hell to pay.
She's rude.
Thank you. Yeah, you hear that, Ma? Nobody likes you.
Yeah, keep your mouth shut.
Oh.
You're smart.
And she looked at him like, okay, we're cool.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
A lot of really laugh out loud moments in this movie. There's a lot of funny parts in the movie, but there's a lot that like I couldn't not laugh.
And you know what's funny? They're all Alan. Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I mean, that just shows you what a character he made in this movie. I mean, but see, you know, we talked about the chemistry between the other guys and Alan. He kind of plays the same role in a movie with Robert Downey Jr. You ever see that movie when Robert Downey?
I've seen that. Yeah.
And it doesn't, to me, it wasn't the same. Like, you know, like,
yeah, it's not as fun.
It's not as funny. And so, like, you know, chemistry is everything. So, you know, even though Alan's the funniest part, but like his interaction with the other two and just them together, it was just perfect. Because, you know, you separate it, it's not the same.
Yeah, I think that Robert Downey, he plays, because they don't know each other at all. And
Right.
There's no connection. So, yeah, no, that isn't as funny, like seeing them two to do it.
Right.
And then, so we mentioned before, so it was so awkward when Chow, well, not awkward, just the fact that he had a $400,000 brick and he just wanted whatever cash that she had. So she gave him $18,000, which is pretty great for her.
Yeah.
It's like a year, like a couple of years worth.
Based on the crap that was at that store. I mean, you looked around that store, they had violins and cellos. Like, it was like.
Yeah, Alan knocked them all down.
Well, before that, he has a lollipop that he gives to her. No, there was another lollipop scene. I think that was
I don't remember that.
Yeah, there was one with Stu early on, but he has the lollipop and he puts it in her mouth and then she crunches on it, and Alan gets excited. That's when he like
he gets excited, but he goes, "We gotta go. We should go."
Yeah, right away. As soon as she crunched it, like, so does that mean like he wants her to bite him? Like, I
don't know, but it seemed like he was scared that she bit.
Or maybe he had an accident.
Hey, Marshall, I need a new pair of sweatpants.
See, that would have been, you know what? That would have been a funny line. He goes, and then he does, you know, Pratt comedy, falls into all the, you know, and she kind of like looking at him like he is an idiot, but he looks like he could be my idiot kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know,
and then they asked like anything that you heard Chow say, and that's when she said Chow wanted three things: girls, guys, and bath salts.
Oh,
because that's when bath salts were like the funny, like, I don't know if it was funny. There was some crazy shit that people were on bath salts around this time in the news, but then they have to go to Heather.
They were.
You remember the whole thing with people were doing bath salts, and the one guy was like a zombie, and he ate someone in Miami. Dude,
wait, he ate someone because of bath salts?
He was eating. He was so messed up on them as like a drug, and he was like chewing on his friend's face, and a cop came up and you don't remember that? It was insane. It was like something out of Resident Evil. It was insane.
All right,
we'll watch it. I'll send it to you on YouTube afterwards.
Okay. All right.
So then we get Heather Graham back in the movie. She lives in a monster house. She's pregnant.
Okay, so that baby was hers in the first movie?
Yeah.
Did we ever find out who the father was? Like, was there ever...
Well, Alan takes responsibility.
Well, the scene's a little creepy. So, I mean, definitely a little creepy. And I'm surprised that she allowed him to spend a time. Were they in a tent or something?
Well, no, they only went into the tent after he said, "I'm your father." Then the kid was probably like, "You're my dad. Let's go in my tent."
Well, he also says, "Your name is Carlos." So I mean, and the kid, and he calls him Carlos when he's leaving. So,
and he gives him the aviators.
Yeah. Which again, that was a funny throwback, to the first. Now, was that the same kid in the first movie? You think?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe timing it would work.
Timing, and it kind of looked like him. You know what? Why not? Like that would have been a good throwback because it kind of looked like him.
Yeah.
But but they didn't they never found out. Like, was there like in Something About Mary that we found out was Brett Favre? Like, was there there wasn't like a
no?
See, that would have been funny. That would have been funny if it was it was Chow. Imagine how great would that be? That's you find out it was Chow.
But just the fact that he says to the kid, "How do you like Jeff?" He's okay. And he's your fake dad. I'm your real. I'm like, whoa.
Well, the way that at the end of the scene, it looked like the kid believes him.
He does. He does. And the mom was like, Heather Graham looked like she was like, okay, that's great that you guys had fun because he seemed like you had a good time. And she calls her contacts because she doesn't strip it. She's not a prostitute anymore or strip. And she finds out that Chow has the penthouse at the Caesars. So now it's all full circle.
All full circle.
All full circle.
Do you think it's the same? You think it's the same father for the kid?
Same father as who?
She's pregnant. So you think the guy
Jeff? It's a different guy.
Oh, it is a different guy.
No. Jeff isn't Carlos's dad.
Okay,
it's like his stepdad. Yeah.
Saying, okay.
No, because she just met the guy in the last few years. Because remember, even after the end of the first one, they left that open. That's why it was weird. The second one that Stu is getting married to Jamie Chung because Stu left and exchanged numbers with Heather Graham, and then that next day at Doug's wedding, he broke up with forget her real name. She's pretty funny, but
yeah. Okay.
Yes. So then Phil's plan is pretty insane. To go because you have to only way to get to that penthouse is by key card. And so his plan is to take all these towels and climb to the roof.
First of all, you see that? Well, they were carrying towels, but it looked like they were sheets.
Yes, they were sheets.
Okay, so it definitely wasn't towels because I can't imagine towels tying like that. But my question is, why would you take the fat guy to climb down? Like they didn't need Alan there. It wasn't like he's meeting Chow or anything. Like Stu could have done it. Why would I feel like Phil is the brains of the operations, but at the same time, he doesn't think the consequences of the people he chooses.
Well, I think earlier you said, well, Stu gets nervous. I can see Stu starting to do it. And
Okay, so now he decides not to use Stu? I mean, he used Stu for everything else. To me, yes, Stu gets nervous, but you're going to trust tying knots on sheets over, 4 stories to have the fat guy do it?
Not for nothing. Couldn't they have in the time? It's Vegas. There's not a 24-hour sporting goods store that they could have got real rope.
Right.
Or a hardware store.
The fact that they knew exactly, they look like tunnels inside the hotel to get to where they were going. How'd they get into all those access areas and how'd they know about it? I know they snuck into one, but how'd they know where to go?
No, I know. How do you know? Okay, this is employees only, but you know how to get to the roof from there?
And how do you know it's just not like a break room? I mean, hotels are huge. How do you know where? They knew too much.
Too much. Oh my God. The fact that Phil is struggling and Alan pulls out his flip phone to take a photo and then Phil's into it. He goes, okay, did you get a good one? He goes, yeah.
And okay, so they got a big party going on. They don't hear the yelling. They don't see the towels or no one sees anything. I mean, Chow was outside 2 seconds before they started doing this.
It's so loud in there, and with the strobe lights, because I think the strobe lights really added a cool element once they get in there. But before that one, so Phil gets down, Alan starts, he's really shaky. The sheet unties, he falls onto the letter. Dude, I was dying.
When he's just laying there. Like, he's just laying there. He's like, all right, I'm not going to. Just the way he fit there was very funny. And
he goes, I'll catch you.
Okay. He looked pretty high up. Like, I feel like even if he tries to catch him, he's going to crush him.
Yes. I would have there were the 2 beach chairs, the lounge chairs there. I would have maybe put them on top of each other, maybe to break the fall, or cushions or something.
Something. Yeah. Something.
I love that he goes, just drop. Don't jump at all. And he does jump and he lands on the edge.
Well, it's the way he goes. Yeah. The way he jumps off is like almost like a swan, dive, like so ridiculous. And he lands exactly on the ledge.
Yeah. But I think you mentioned it before, this movie is so many different types of movies in one. Is when they go in and you get the strobe lights, you see naked girls, all the people around. And then in the hallway, they're standing there. There's nothing. Light goes out. Strobe comes on. Chow's there with a gun. And friggin' Phil, who's an elementary school or middle school teacher, in seconds, he fights him off to put the gun against the wall.
Well, there was a very weak fight. I mean, Phil got his ass kicked. I mean,
Chow.
Okay, how did Chow reach his head? Chow is he gave him a headbutt, but Phil is. I'm assuming Bradley Cooper is probably 5'10", maybe 6. He's a tall guy, right? Yeah. Chow has got to be 5'5". How did he headbutt him? I mean, and they're struggling over. I mean, listen, he could be a badass, a lunatic. He only looks like he weighs 120 pounds.
Yeah.
Chow. I mean, you literally could pick him up and throw him. I mean, they really shouldn't be much of a struggle.
I love the room that he goes through is, I guess, the master bedroom. And it looks like Meatloaf's video. I do anything for love. There's a million candles lit in that room, which nobody would light that many candles, and 7 naked girls.
There weren't there. I didn't see one guy in that whole area. He ordered guys.
He did order guys. Maybe the guys were first. Girls are the second part.
Maybe it was the what movie was that we watched when they're all hiding in the closet and they're hiding everywhere when they're on the cruise.
Oh, in Dorm Days too.
Yeah. So maybe they're all in the closet and everything.
God, that was a great scene. Everyone was hiding in that room,
and they're all naked. They were all naked in that closet. How uncomfortable!
Even the pirate. Even the pirate.
Pirate is great.
Who I was texting with because you got his information for an interview, and then he texted me for a week or two. But yeah, so then Chow is on the balcony and he jumps off. He has the parachute and he's floating around.
Where was he hiding that parachute? Because he literally was standing up there. You don't see anything. You didn't see a backpack or anything.
No, he didn't have one on at all. I don't think he had one on when he jumped
nothing.
Up.
He had nothing on. He looked like. So, did you think what'd you think he was doing? Did you think he was gonna when he jumped? What'd you think was happening?
Dude, I at first thought, because how crazy this movie is, he was gonna jump and land on. I guess it couldn't have been a helicopter, but I thought he was gonna land on something.
Oh yeah, I forgot. So I'm thinking and you see this in so many movies. He was gonna land in the fountain. How many times you see a movie when they jump off a balcony and they land in a fountain and they're okay?
Yeah. Hey, he's perfectly fine. Yeah, that'd be good. So Stu now is following him in a car. And I love that Chow singing R. Kelly, I Believe I Can Fly. And then we get the one Todd Phillips always has cameos in his movies. He is just paying a prostitute for it's 3 seconds. They set up that shot just so he can be in the movie. But he always has good ones, all the ones that he has. In the first one, he is, when they get into the elevator, he's just done eating a girl's out because he's wiping his face and he was in between her legs. Oh my gosh. So they have the gold. So Chow left whatever gold that was left in his penthouse. So they were able to.
Well,
so
that would be all. That would be all
that.
of it then, right? That would be the
He
ones they
used
just
some of
sold.
it.
Okay. Well, yeah, he had to pay for the girls
He had to pay for the girls
and the parachute.
guys. I don't know what. The parachute. That must have been expensive, right?
Well, that wasn't a normal parachute, so it was probably a high tech parachute because you couldn't see it.
It was, and the fact that they called Stu, who's nervous as hell, to while driving in a traffic area in Vegas, to look in the sky and try to follow a guy parachuting.
He almost crashes about 15 times as he's driving.
Like the fact that Chow lands on him.
Well, first he goes missing. So he goes
Yeah.
behind the building and he loses him, and then somehow Chow is able to aim it and land on Phil. Like, what are the odds of that? But he lands on the front of the car.
And he looks at him and he's like, "Oh shit!"
So you see this a lot in movies where a car will crash into like a thing of fruit and it smears all over the windshield, or a thing of chickens and feathers all over the place, and people can't see and they continue to drive. Now he's driving with Chow on there and the parachute covering the windshield on a busy Las Vegas street. How long do you think that should last before he hits another car? I mean, and it happens in every movie. They keep driving all the time. They can't see ever. Yet somehow they're able to drive for a long time.
They're so lucky that everyone else is paying attention and not being able to.
Oh, so that's what it is. So everybody's able to get out of the way on a busy traffic-filled highway of Vegas because it's never busy. Yes. Okay. That's believable.
Well, how about the fact that he dumped him? He slammed the brakes. Chow flies, is knocked out, and no one saw this because he takes a little while to put him in the car.
No one's. First of all, I thought Chow was faking it. I thought he was faking it, so this way, when Phil he would like pull a gun on him or something, But he was really hurt this time, and yeah, no one stopped once. Well, listen, no one stopped when they were getting kidnapped either. Like in the areas they're in, people just keep doing their business. Maybe the law of the Seinfeld law, is in effect here, and no one pays attention to it. Right? Wasn't that the law that like if you see something.
That was the Good Samaritan law. Yeah,
right.
That's how the series ended.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just the fact that they threw him in the trunk, so now they called Marshall and they met him near some like shady exit, and they said Chow's in the trunk, and he goes, "Okay, fine, Doug is yours. Now get out of here."
Okay, and then he turns and shoots the trunk. He doesn't look okay. So you're going to tell me this guy has been holding Doug this whole time, waiting for his gold and everything else. He's not going to check the trunk first to make sure Chow's in there. He's just going to say, "All right, you guys leave now. I'm not going to check the trunk. I'm going to assume that you guys are doing the right thing because you never did anything wrong to begin with." He doesn't I think he slipped in that part.
He did, and it's like it might have been better for us as the audience, because we knew that he was still in the trunk, because when they were pulling up, Chow was like, "Come on, guys, please let me out." And he was like yelling to him. So maybe if they didn't have that part, we would have been even more shocked.
No, of course. No. And it definitely fits. But I'm saying as a mobster guy that, he did it wrong. There's a proper way to do an exchange, and that's not it.
What would you have done? You opened the trunk.
Well, I said, all right, hold on to Doug. I want to make sure he's in there, before you give the exchange. You get rid of your leverage if you did it that way, the other way, way he did it.
Now, could you look at the guy, or would you just open the trunk, say he's there, close it again, and then shoot? Would you have to see him?
Of course you got to see him. Well, how do you? Wow. What if it's maybe it's like they had the wrong Doug in the first movie. Maybe they had the wrong Chow.
I'm saying you open the trunk.
Yeah.
Now, do you shoot then, or do you go, "Okay, that's the right guy. I'm going to close it now"?
Well, because I'm so annoyed at Chow, I want to shut the trunk, thinking he has a chance, and then shoot him.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. That's what I would.
Did you expect the crowbar? Maybe that was two things I thought of. I thought he was going to have the crowbar again, and we were going to get that same sort of thing, obviously, with his clothes on this time.
Well, you know what, though? I think it would have been funny if he didn't have his clothes on. Like why would his clothes be off? And that's like that would be Chow. Like that would be like see to me that would be a good throwback. Like let him jump out again with the crowbar, no clothes on, start swinging away, and I think that would have been a very funny scene because then it's because he's so unpredictable that would have been funny.
And the fact that Marshall's so pissed when he opens up the trunk and he's not there. And then we realized because just before that, when Alan was the one to get the gold, he was the one that reached in the back seat. He opened up the latch and he admitted that to everyone.
Well, before he did that, though, like when they were doing before the exchange, he had like remorse on his face. Like he knew because Chow kept saying they're going to kill me. So he didn't want that to happen. So you kind of like saw the remorse afterwards. You could see where Alan did it because he was definitely,
Dude, but that was intense when he just like pops out of the friggin' the sunroof and just pops them all.
He's a badass. He really is like, as he's like he's most dangerous kind of criminal because he's so unpredictable, yet he's so lethal.
Yeah.
And he's really super smart because he's able to get out of every situation he's in. Like he really is, so.
And then it's like a hard moment for him. So he obviously saved them he saved them, but they would have been free anyway. So it was really just Alan risked all of his friends' lives for Chow. And then minutes later, what does he do? He breaks up with him.
He breaks up. Now, if you're these guys, would you, I mean, I know they're not killers, but do you think it's safe to leave Chow still alive? Because that's not the end that they're going to see of him. There's going to be something else that somehow Chow's going to like at that point. Do you somehow just try to get rid of him?
I would.
I mean, they've already broke the law so many times in 3 movies.
That's true.
They've done so many hard, different, like so many different things. What's one more thing? Because otherwise you're gonna constantly have issues with Chow alive.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
True.
I'm just saying, you might have to do something.
Isn't it funny all the stuff that they did? And then we saw that scene when they were in prison in Mexico and they just had like a misdemeanor charge out of all the crazy shit they did. But no, I would think about killing him until Alan breaks up with him because Alan is the gateway. He's the connection to Chow. So if Alan doesn't talk to him, then he'll never be around. Maybe?
Oh, so you're saying maybe kill Alan then?
Yeah, kill Alan.
So you kill the gateway. There's no Chow.
Stu would have loved that. Stu would have been like ready to
see. You know what? And it would probably be a lot easier to kill Alan than Chow. So yeah. You know what? Okay, maybe that's the way to go. Maybe you kill Alan and it's all over. You got to stop
like Lenny. It would have been like Lenny and Mice of Men.
It would have. He is Lenny. He is Lenny, and I think that's the way to go. That's what they should have done. And you know what? Alan's not really living happy. He's so confused in his life. He probably would be happy dead.
But then it changes because after this, they go to pick up the van at the pawn shop, and he goes, "Guys, I think I'm gonna stay." And he goes in, and he hits on Melissa McCarthy one more time.
What do you think of his move of dropping his pants? That was so random, like it's just so funny, and she, what she said, she goes, I think we got to take it a little slower. He goes, I saw this in a movie once. Or no, he said porn. He said pornographic. he said a pornographic.
But they kissed, and then 6 months later, Alan's getting married. And how about what he's gonna wear to his wedding? And Doug is like all for it, and then gets him to change. He's wearing a top hat.
And then Stu said, "You look like Mr. Peanut," and he goes, "That was the look I was going for." And so then Doug takes his hat off. How much do you love his hair? When it's like greased down and flat, like how great is that? It just so. I mean, he had a shaved head in the second movie. Like he really you want to talk about method acting? That's Alan. I mean, all movies. He literally he went all out in every movie.
Yeah, and I love that Phil just being the nice guy, and I'm sure it's true. He goes, Alan, I got to tell you, I just got done talking with Cassie. She's so great. I'm so happy for you. And he goes, yeah, I find Cassidy to be better than your wives.
One last dig. Yeah, it's so good. And then he says, listen, guys, I just want to tell you, I got to spend more time with my wife. But on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we still have to go, what do you say, bowling or something?
Yeah. He goes, I'm resigning from the Wolfpack, except and then he sets a whole schedule out for them.
And then that was the end of the movie, right?
Well, at the end of the movie, I do like that they show them slow walking to the wedding, and then they show all the slow walks they did in other movies, which is cool. And dude, the end credits, and then when they cut to I loved it. Obviously, you're not gonna have another movie, but I love that throwback to the first one.
Oh, of course.
We get a motorcycle in the wall, a machine, dude, like a turret gun.
Was Bradley Cooper wearing the wedding dress?
Oh, I don't remember that.
It looked like he was because the wedding dress was on the bed and he was right there. I looked like he might have been wearing the wedding dress.
Oh shit! I hope so. No, I was thinking in my head like, wow, Alan's married to a girl he loves who trash talks to the mothers, and I think he had a 3-way with Phil.
It's possible. And I love that Melissa McCarthy was part of this of like not knowing what went on, like, waking up. And then you see Stu walk out, which
that looks so real.
It looked very real. Like first of all, his underwear needed to be a little tighter. He might have showed a little, undercarriage.
Oh, there's a little ball hanging out?
There might have been. It was a little close.
Oh my god!
But the fact that he's laughing because he's walking around in women's underwear, not realizing that he's got boobs. And then,
holy shit!
And then you see Chow.
Just oh my god!
I mean, okay, so you got to give him credit. Like I said in the beginning of the movie, that's got to be an uncomfortable thing, I would assume, in general, for guys, but he owns it. He owns it. Like, he does not care. I mean, literally. And it's like a little bird in a bird's nest.
It is a little bird in a bird's nest. God, so good. Like, really thinking back on discussing this movie. It's a trilogy. It can't be obviously when you have a movie that's the first one that's so great, it's always going to be hard to top. But I think I'll ask you next. But for me personally, I think this was cool the way they did it. Because I don't know how else, if you would have gave me 10 other ideas, I don't know if it would have been better than Chow being the one that brings them all back together. I don't know if it was something with either the guys, I don't know how it would have worked, but I like this movie a lot.
Yeah, it's, and again, I think it's easier to like a lot now because you never saw it before and you have seen all the ones so long ago. So again, it's like the Ghostbusters. Is the new Ghostbusters as good as the original? It's not. But seeing those guys show up again, like in the new Ghostbusters, it's a throwback. So yeah. I think that's part of it. For you, I think just because it's, it just brought it all back to life. It's entertaining. It's definitely not as good as the first one. Second one, again, how many times are you going to do the Hangover thing? You did it twice. Definitely would not work for a third one. But that's why, people say, maybe you don't need the third one. So, but it did have enough funny scenes, and seeing those guys together, it's worth watching just for that aspect alone. It's Alan alone. I mean, to me, he's such a good character.
Alan Goodman, I think you're right. John Goodman was so great in that role.
Yeah. But it had enough funny scenes that you're going to enjoy it. You just can't compare it to the first one. And it's, what, I don't remember the second one as much as either, so I don't know if it's better than the second one, but I just think it's worth, if you like the first one, you got to watch them all. Those three guys are so good together. Yeah.
Alan is so great in this one. So like we mentioned, that's our last sequel of our third year, and we're kicking off our fourth year of podcasting. It's the perfect college movie because spring break's right around the corner, and we're going to be reviewing Ghoulies Go to College. Nick, our munchie expert, is now our creature expert. He'll help us break this one down. And I had a blast chatting with cinematographer Ron Schmidt, who worked on a lot of Roger Corman pictures early in his career. One of the films being Brain Dead with Bill Pullman and Bill Paxton. Such a funky, cool movie. Ron grew up in Hawaii, and he literally, one of my favorite origin stories yet, he stumbled into his future. You got to hear that story while he was in high school. And then also when Ron was in college, he got to go visit a real working cinematographer. And what are the chances? It was former guest Steven Poster. So afterwards, I emailed Steven. Steven's like, oh my God, Ron, he was so great. And he went on to do some great things. He worked on the first season of The Shield, The Mist, and so much more. Such a great dude. So don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only. And don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Good night.